In this talk, I want to look at why healing the inner child is so important for your meditation, mindfulness, or Dharma practice. I then want to look at the 3 steps that you can follow in healing the wounded inner child. The inner child is full of memories, hurts, wounds, desires, and so on. And it's really the ego trying to protect us as adults. It's the subconscious inner child that's protecting us as adults in the world. And the inner child can show up in many ways in our adult lives. It can show up as someone being highly reactive, passive-aggressive behavior, kind of overvaluing independence and pushing other people away. It really can interfere with our lives, our happiness, and our relationships. It's also important to remember that the inner child has joyful aspects to it too, and that these can help us in our lives. By remembering these joyful childhood experiences, we can lead happier and more loving lives. There are 3 steps to healing the wounded inner child. The first step is to acknowledge that the inner child exists and basically to see it. The second step is to listen to the inner child and validate its existence. And the third step is to show compassion towards the inner child. We all have an inner child that influences how we live our lives today. Acknowledging the inner child involves seeing the hurtful events from our childhood, holding them in the light of awareness, and realizing how they impact our lives today. We all carry these wounded inner child moments within our subconscious. As adults, we all carry the wounds from our childhood, whether it be simple or complex trauma. It could be unmet needs, or it could be neglect or emotional abuse or even physical abuse. Basically, our caregivers or fathers or mothers likely had those needs unmet in their childhood, and they carried that within them and passed it on towards us. So you can actually acknowledge the inner child or wounded inner child within your caregiver, parent, father, or mother. The second step is to listen to the inner child, to really get to know the inner child. We're not trying to get rid of the inner child, but rather to embrace it, get to know it, get to know how it feels. The inner child can express itself in many ways. It may express itself as images or words in the mind, but it often expresses itself through feelings in the body, so somatic or bodily expression. So a key way to listen to the inner child is to really get in touch with the entire body, the sensations as they show up in the body, perhaps in particular areas in the body that experience discomfort or tension. When we listen and understand our inner child, we heal our father, our mother, our caregiver, our grandfather, our grandmother, and their caregivers. We also make a better future for our children as we don't pass on our childhood wounds to them. Thich Nhat Hanh says if we listen to our inner child for just a few minutes every day, a tremendous transformation can occur. You can make acquaintance with the inner child in any moment. The wounded child is within us in any moment, and we can listen to it and really get to know the inner child. By listening to and getting to know the inner child, you allow what's in the subconscious to come up into the surface and be seen and be known. A whole variety of feelings can come up when we listen to the inner child. The inner child may feel unworthy. It may feel unloved. It may feel that it caused its parents divorced, for example, and blame itself. Perhaps it feels it didn't deserve love, and that's why it didn't get love. The inner child is fragile and very vulnerable, and it couldn't make sense of the world, so it often blamed itself for the events that occurred to it and around it in the world. The third step is showing compassion to your inner child. You can utilize your meditation and spiritual practice to expose the hurt and wounds from the inner child to the light of awareness and begin to heal. As you heal, you no longer react unconsciously from the wounds of the inner child. Again and again, we can embrace and show compassion for the inner child. We can kind of do a meditation that involves this kind of compassion towards the inner child. You take your meditation posture, whether that's just sitting on the floor on a cushion or sitting just in a chair very comfortably, and envisioning in your mind's eye yourself as a child, or perhaps even taking a picture of yourself and looking at the picture, putting the picture in front of you on another chair or cushion, and just sending these phrases of compassion towards yourself as a 5 or 6 year old child. Phrases such as, "You are precious and beautiful. You are perfect just the way you are. It's not your fault what happened in your life," whether it be a divorce or some other event that happened in your life. "You are very lovable and precious." Phrases such as this, just extending them towards that 5 or 6 year old child within you, can really allow the inner child that's residing in your subconscious to heal. I really do hope you found this video helpful in getting in touch with the wounded inner child within you, listening to the inner child, and then kind of connecting to the inner child in a way that allows it to heal. If you have any questions or would like to share any of your experiences with this kind of work, please feel free to leave a comment. Thank you, and see you again soon.